All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we're going to now talk about the Pistons extending their winning streak to 8 games after defeating the Celtics last night, 117 to 197. And, this is something that I really wasn't planning on talking about, but, this, as the night went on and you kind of hear what's going on, and obviously, now doing all sports, there's certain nights where you got to, get more creative. We can't just, zero in on football every night. But, yeah, this was a big game for the Pistons. And, I was like, if they win this game, I want to talk about it. And they did. And the Celtics had a winning streak going for themselves. I think it was at 6 games. And the Pistons were able to knock them off. Now, the Celtics were not at full strength last night. They did not have Jaylen Brown, but they still pretty much had their full cast. You had Jason Tatum, who, of course, it seems like he has a big game every single night. And, Kristaps Porzingis and Horford and Devin White and Drew Holiday. So, and Jaylen Brown is, a top 2 player on this team. So had he played, who knows what would happen. But you got to give the Pistons a lot of credit. And they've turned it around. They've turned it around. And it's amazing because, I forgot about this, but last year, they had that long losing streak, I think, of 28 straight games. And, now you fast forward to this year. I mean, what a difference. What a difference a year makes for this team. And right now, when you look at the Eastern Conference, they are sitting at, I think they're at what are they at, the 5th seed at the moment? So they are currently, oh no, they're the 6th seed. They're behind the Bucks. Well, they're tied with the Bucks. Now, they could do more damage and they could maybe get themselves to as much as the 4th seed. But either way, the way the Pistons have been, you got to love what you're seeing from them, especially if you're a Pistons fan. And, I went back and looked at their records year by year. They haven't finished over 500. You'd have to go all the way back to the 2015-2016 season. They were the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference and they got swept. And then the last time they made the postseason was the 2018-2019 season, and they finished at exactly 500, 41-41, and they got swept that year too. I think they got swept by the Bucks, and then when they finished over 500, they got swept by the Cavs. And then since then, 20-46 the following season, 20-52, 23-59, 17-65, and then last year they finished 14-68. A winning percentage of 171. And look where they are now. 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, 33-26. Things are looking good for them right now. Last night you got a big performance out of Malik Beasley, who is a 6th Man of the Year candidate, I believe. He's averaging 16.7 points. He went 10 of 15 from the field, and he went 6-11 from 3. And then, of course, really the driving force of this team, and a player that one of my friends loves, and that's Cade Cunningham. 25.7 points per game, 9.5 assists, 6.3 rebounds. Last night, 21 points, went 9 of 21 shooting. And then, Tobias Harris, who was a newly acquired player, 16 points last night. And, it wasn't looking good at the half because the Celtics, do what the Celtics always do, and that's hit a ton of threes. I got to go back and look, but they hit a ton of threes towards the end of the first half. Every single basket that they made was a three-pointer. And that's what they do. And, the Knicks, we'll talk about them in a second, but they know a thing or two about, the Celtics, shooting a barrage of threes against them. And, it didn't matter. The Pistons actually opened up the second half. They went on an 8-0 run. So that put them up by, actually no, that was to open up the fourth quarter. I apologize. So that that was big. Every time the Celtics, looked like they were going to, take control of this game, the Pistons were like, no, that's not going to happen. And they ended up getting the win. And, the winning streak, is definitely impressive. And, they got another tall order, I believe, tomorrow when they take on the Nuggets. So, they're going to be put to the test. Are they going to be able to knock off the Nuggets? We'll see. But I mean, the Celtics, they're the defending champs. And in terms of what this means going forward, it is one game. But I think it's a pretty big deal. I think this is a big deal for the Pistons and just what they've gone through these last several years, and now that they seem like they're turning the corner. So, and I'm not saying this team is going to go on a run in the postseason, because I do think the Celtics are on their way to getting back to the finals. I think that's how it looks. I think Cleveland has the best chance to knock them off out of all the teams in the Eastern Conference, but I think ultimately the Celtics are going to get back. So if, let's say, the Celtics match up with the Pistons in a 7-game series, you're going to take the Celtics. But got to give the Pistons respect, though. They're playing good basketball, and let's see how long this winning streak can continue. So, like I said, they do play the Nuggets. Now, after that, if they could somehow get past the Nuggets, win that game, and that's at home, so that's big. But if you can knock off the Nuggets, then the schedule kind of lightens up a bit, because then you got the Nets, and then you got the Jazz after that. But then you have the Clippers and the Warriors, and those are both out west. So, and the Warriors are playing really well. The Clippers, they won last night. They won a close game against the Bulls, but they actually lost to the Pistons. They've been a part of the Pistons' winning streak. But yeah, the Warriors have been playing really well. They've only lost once since acquiring Jimmy Butler, so that's going to be a tough game. But then you got the Trailblazers, the Wizards twice, and then you got the Thunder after that. So there are winnable games coming up. But let's see, how long this can last. Now I say that, and it could end tomorrow. But either way, though, this team is primed to make the playoffs. And right now they would match up against the Knicks. And, the Knicks, they won last night, but I don't really trust them right now. So let's talk about the Knicks, though. We'll get into some of the other NBA action here. So the Knicks, I don't know what it is lately. It's just they got blown out by the Cavs and the Celtics. And then, against the Bulls and the Hawks, and now against the 76ers, they're winning these nail-biting games. And, the Knicks had control of this game, but then, Paul George, he put together a good game last night. He finished with 25 points. The 76ers at one point in the fourth quarter, they took the lead. But the Knicks battled back. Tyrese Maxey, who destroys the Knicks, he had 30 points. But he actually, I didn't even realize this, he went 0 for 10 from 3. I did not realize that. Because I had one eye on the game, and I was, I was working last night, so I wasn't fully locked in. But I did not realize he went 0 for 10 from 3. And then you had Kelly Oubre. He had 27 points. Valiant effort from the Sixers, but they did come up short. And towards the end of the game, Maxey missed a 3, and then Jalen Brunson clutch 3, put them up 105 to 102, and it rattled in. It looked like it was gonna come back out, but it rattled in, and that put them up. A key block from Precious Achiuwa on Andre Drummond late in the game. And the other thing too is for the Knicks, they didn't have Karl Anthony Towns last night. And we talked about guys that need to step up. Now, Josh Hart didn't have a great game in terms of scoring, but he did have 17 rebounds. He's a rebound machine. But from the guys that we talked about that need to step up, OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges. Bridges went 12 of 18, 3 for 5 from 3. He had 28 points. And then OG Anunoby, not a great shooting night, 5 for 15, 1 for 6 from 3, but he did have 16 points and 9 rebounds. Precious Achiuwa, 7 points off the bench. Deuce McBride, 6 points off the bench. Cameron Payne had 4 off the bench. So, like I said, no Karl Anthony Towns last night, but they were able to get the win. And Brunson, of course, spectacular, 34 points, 8 of 17 shooting. So, they're going to get Towns back. You're going to get Mitchell Robinson back. And, let's see what happens. They'll be playing the Grizzlies next. That's tomorrow, and that's at MSG. Oh, nope, that's not at MSG. That's the channel it's going to be on. It's going to be in Memphis. So, you got the Grizzlies, then you got the Heat, the Warriors, the Lakers, the Clippers. Yeah, there's some tough games coming up for the Knicks on the schedule. And we'll see, how they fare. But, they're third in the Eastern Conference. And, one of the podcasts that I do listen to from time to time, look, the Knicks, they're going to win about 50 games this year. And if you were to go back to a few years ago, when this team, or a little more than a few years ago, when this team was not good at all, was one of the worst in the league, and you heard the Knicks are going to win about 50 games in 2024, or the 2024-2025 season, you'll take that. You can't really, discount it. But we also have to acknowledge that this team needs to play better, especially against the better teams. And, we'll see how much of a difference Mitchell Robinson will play when he comes back, or will make when he comes back. But they do have some work to do. They're still in striking distance for the 2 seed. I don't think they're going to catch the Celtics. I think the Knicks are going to ultimately take the 3 seed. And right now, it looks like they could either play against the Bucks or the Pistons. Or the Pacers. Depending on what happens this final month or so. But I also wanted to bring up quickly the ending to the Maryland-Michigan State game last night. A little college basketball action. So, Maryland lost a heartbreaker. And it was on almost a full court shot at the end of the game to lose the game for Maryland. They ended up losing to Michigan State. I think the final was 58 to 50. Yeah, 58 to 55. They ended up losing at the buzzer. Very last shot of the game. And if you see the play, you got to look it up. I mean, it was just no time left, and it was a heave by Trey Hollerman. 1 second left, just chucks up pretty much a full court shot to win the game, and Maryland ends up losing a heartbreaker. That's a bit, that's a little Big Ten action last night. Right now Maryland in the Big Ten, they're 4th. Michigan State is 1st, and you got Michigan and Wisconsin 2nd and 3rd place. March Madness is coming up, and I can't wait. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So, before we go to break, just want to remind you guys once again to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to hit that super chat button in the chat if you want to see me acknowledge any thought or comment you may have throughout the live broadcast. Makes the show more lively, more entertaining between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. We appreciate you guys' viewership each and every day, so any contribution you make to the show means the world to us as we put out content for you guys each and every day. And also, the other way to help out the show is by going to the link at the bottom of the show segment on the ticker, GSMCPodcast.net. That is GSMCPodcast.net. So when we come back from our next break, we will talk about Matthew Stafford and, a couple things, a couple teams that are interested in him. I know we did that earlier in the week, but I wanted to get into these 2 teams specifically, the Giants and the Raiders, from the news that we are hearing. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.